Hi and welcome to the Market Alert for Wednesday the 10th of March 2021. So futures soar after China's plunge protection team props up markets. So every central bank has a plunge protection team. Nasdaq is exploding higher. That was yesterday afternoon, moved up a huge amount. I think Tesla put on 100 billion yesterday. Incredible. And we're going from an inflow tsunami to a selling tsunami in the next weeks, which is interesting. So just to put a dampener on what you're seeing there, this may start to get pre-traded early. Well, certainly it doesn't seem right at the moment, that's for sure. I mean, you've got the swings in the implied volatility. We've gone from 2135 on Monday to 1968 on Tuesday for yesterday's session. Big drop there in the implied. So yeah, it's even the volatility is volatile, which generally isn't the case if something isn't going to happen. So we've got this cluster here where we're trading in this sort of range here of 1603 to the 2136 area. So something's not quite right there. So we can see there we're still amber because the Dow is above the 20 bar moving average, or the prices of the Dow. The yield, let's have a look at the last 5 days, see where we are. I mean, we had a bit of a spike there to let me just move that over. Got a spike there to 159 during yesterday's session. I don't know why that occurred, but it did. So this moving back, but then being hammered back down to the 155 area. That's interesting. I've not actually seen that, so interesting. And news today, quite a bit today. We've got US news, mainly CPI and crude oil at 330, and we've also got a 10-year bond auction as well. I thought Lagarde was out this week. When is she out? Tomorrow. That's when it is. That's why I sound a bit hesitant, because I thought it was today. Yeah, so just US news today, and then Euro news tomorrow. Let's have a look at overnight. You can see yesterday that the Dow failed to hold. Got some selling there. This is continuing overnight at the moment. So I've drawn in this low to this all-time high. And we've got a set of fibs for the Dow on the downside there, which tie in with the 20 bar and 5 bar should prices move down to this level. The German DAX is also an interesting picture. We got a brand new high yesterday afternoon at 14,476. It's just insane. You look at the weekly chart, you'll see from last year the market just continuing to move to the upside bar. A couple of corrective weeks here, or 1 week correction the next week, bringing the market back above the 200 MA, but onwards and upwards, due for another correction in these markets, no doubts about that. Meanwhile, overnight, the 2-minute DAX is showing weakness, opening below the 200 MA and the previous day's all-time high. The market making its way back, coming back towards the 200, then moving down and finding support at the 14,400 level is what that is, and sitting on this for a while before rallying back to the DP, but then closing below here. A cluster of volume here to bring the market back, and we've had 2 attempts to try and get through the DP, but at the moment prices are failing to do so, although it looks at this point in time we need to close above the 200 and the DP in order to move back to yesterday's high. Yesterday's low is going to be closer because the range was far less yesterday, so given the fact that we're at the DP, we're more or less equidistant for the high and the low there for a move. We'll see what the futures does at 7 a.m. So let's have a quick look at yesterday's session. It was an interesting one, and we can see in the futures a bit of weakness there. First off, prices then found support. The cash market opened, and we saw prices have a bit of a hammer to the downside, 25 points on the first bar, and then try and come back at the BRN. Prices failed, And again, you can see them trying to hold the market here with prices coming off the low inside of this bar where there's lots of selling but also a bit of buying. The market bangs its head against the big round number there, the 350, and then starts to make lower highs until we get this bar where they try and test, close back above the 5 bar. But again, you can see the resistance here that we had here, and then the market moves sideways to lower, breaks the low that I drew in there, drew in another low here, and there's an interesting situation here because you've got more or less the same range in these two bars, and this volume is greater, and then just look how much bigger the volume is in this bar as well, and price is starting to reverse a bit there. So the market finds support at this 14,300, and you can see how they brought the market back once more here. It's either the shorts getting out or new traders coming in at this price level to buy the market. Prices then move towards the upside. We have a potential buy signal there. Prices stop at the 78% retracement from this high to this low, which gives the market a bit of grief, as you'll see here, and then prices are whipped back. So at this point I think, well, okay, I can always get back in, and then prices move to the downside once more, even though they try and hold in a bit of support there at the 20 bar moving average and an increase in volume. With prices trading sideways, then we get a potential sell, which will fail because the market is determined to move back to the upside, which you'll see there. There's no real selling. The volume is really low, and then we get a reversal with a potential buy signal. This wasn't plain sailing either because the market had to break through the BRN. It got stuck at the 62% retracement, and eventually started to drive through the 89 and then hit this area here where we'd seen prices previously move to the downside. So we've got to get through this area. Prices struggling, trading sideways, and then eventually move towards achieving this, but it's a hard slog, as you see here. I'm just showing them what, having a look at the 1 minute. I can see there's a lot of volume here, and the market's making no progress. So even though it's green, it's a matter of the traders holding prices on the high while they try and collect profits. And you can see there's a bit of indecision here. They buy back. I decided to take profits at this level with that 200 in the way, which in hindsight was a mistake because prices eventually moved back to the upside, even though they closed a few occasions below the 5 bar moving average, which is what we see here, but then stuck in this sideways range and trying to break the resistance that we saw earlier on in the morning, the first high that we had. And again, you can see how much of an obstruction this was. Prices then trading up to the 14,400 and then sideways coming back, got into a sideways move, and eventually did break. It stayed above the 20 bar moving average with breaks and closes below the 5 bar, managing to trade up to the previous day's high, and then prices started to move to the downside there after the high was achieved. In the afternoon, prices opened sharply to the upside. You can see them coming back down towards the high. They'd already moved up with the Dow futures, but coming back towards that high. So it was a case of moving prices once more back to the upside. This was a really tough decision to make here. Again, a bit like in the morning session, we've got a high to the left, and we can see that the market's struggling with this here. We've already got two very high volume bars there in red, and then we're just about to get a third, and I think, okay, I'll come and I'll get back in if this market shows some support. And the prices then shot to the downside. We then had a potential sell, which continued and actually managed to break the high. And at this point, my internet connection dropped, as you'll see in just a second. So fortunately, I have another computer to the left of me, which I was able to get out of the trade. You can see there when the internet came back on how prices had moved back to the upside. So I had to reload the charts, and there you can see. So now we can see here as well how they bought back in here and then drove the market back. So this is again the shorts getting out, and also more importantly, we are at the previous day's high, and you can't move higher unless you can keep closing above the previous day's high. So price is now sideways, and then we get another buy signal there. Got that resistance to the left here as well. Very, very quiet afternoon, and you can tell this as soon as you start trading. Once you get in half an hour, very difficult for the market to then pick up any sort of pace. We've got new highs there. Just having a look round, decide to move the stop to break even there, and then out of the trade. A bit like the morning session where it did that, where it came back with a big bar and then it just traded sideways. We've got another sell there. And this is a fascinating one as well, because as prices move lower, watch the next bar, and this is the reason for exiting the trade. Just look at the volume, keep an eye on that volume, and you can see it came back. And I thought, no, this is just, it was building so fast that again, we're back at the high, we're at the 200 moving average, we've got the support where they bought back in here to the left. It was a matter of taking the money off the table there. Price is then moving back to the upside and sitting sideways, and eventually filling on the third bar as prices traded sideways. And I decided at this point I would exit stage left. The market wasn't doing anything. You can see how tiny the range is for the market, and you'll see close off the trade, and then just went off and had to do a few jobs in the garden before the rains came, which have arrived this morning. So there you can see prices drifting back. They're not stopped out, and if we go to the 2-minute charts where we've got all of the data, you will see that eventually it made its way up to the scalp. If I get the right tool there, you'll see it made its way. It came close to being stopped out, but it eventually, in the after session, it went there. But it was really quiet. You can see how quiet the market became there. So let's just have a quick look again, see where we are with regards to waiting for the futures market, which is another 20 minutes away. Price is holding at the moment and trying to move back towards the upside there. So yeah, let's see what happens today. We could draw in a few fibs on this, I suppose. From here up to the all-time high, again like the Dow, coming back down towards the 5-bar moving average there for some sort of support. So make a note of those as well. Okay, I think that's it. Don't think I've missed anything out. So with that, as ever, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.